Witchcraft TV, where we talk about paganism, witchcraft, spiritual festivals, conventions, and other gatherings. These events are a wonderful way to learn about magical practices, to participate in rituals, and meet like-minded people. It's a whole lot of fun. With your host, A.C. Fisher and Harold Sanford Carter III. Welcome to Festival Fun.
Welcome and merry meet. I'm A.C. Fisher-Aldag.
And I am Harold the Lone Wolf Carter.
And today we are talking with Becky and Laurie of Twin Cities Pagan Pride, who help to present Paganicon every March and a huge Pagan Pride Day in September in the Minneapolis area. So you guys please introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Becky.
Sure. I'm Becky Munson. I am the treasurer of the board for Twin Cities Pagan Pride and the director of marketing, Laurie's the director of marketing, the director of programming, and I do all of the programming and all the scheduling for all of our speakers and guests for both of our events.
And my name is Laurie Froberg. I'm with Twin City Pagan Pride doing the marketing and also chair the scholarship fund as well. And have been doing volunteer work since 2012 with Twin City Pagan Pride.
That is awesome. Please tell us a little bit more about your organization, about Twin Cities Pagan Pride.
We are a 501(c) organization. Our mission is to provide a platform for pagans throughout the area and the states, obviously, with Paganicon, to bring them together, celebrate our spirituality, provide educational platforms, a way for people to connect every year at both of our events. Becky, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think, the mission of Twin Cities Pagan Pride and then ultimately Paganicon is to foster pagan communities and provide education. So a lot of what we do is just outreach, and Paganicon, which is what we're specifically talking about today, is our indoor ticketed kind of pagan community centric conference where we can, bring speakers and guests in to support growth in our community in general. But we also run Twin Cities Pagan Pride Day. It's a fall festival, and that's our public event. So that happens in a public park. And most of the folks who wander through that event have no idea what paganism is or what it might mean or how that might fit into their fabric of their communities. And so we do a lot more of our public outreach at that event.
So by Twin Cities, you mean where?
Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. So Minneapolis and the surrounding suburbs in the Twin Cities area has one of the largest pagan communities in the country. And that's been well documented through a number of academic projects that center out of this area. There are a number of papers written about the community here. It's been a long-standing community and probably rivals or as close to as large as the pagan community in the California area.
Wow, that's nice to know. So tell us a little bit more about Paganicon. Tell us some about the event, some of the activities you have.
So Paganicon is a 3-day indoor conference. And so we start on Friday and go till Sunday evening. It's somewhere in mid-March, depending on the hotel availability dates and scheduling. But what we do there is full day conference programming, similar to what you would find at any other convention you might have been to. So all day programming and then evening music, typically both nights. There's a music track all day as well for more acoustic things. We have a big ball. Friday night we have a concert. So just a lot of opportunities for pagans to come together, learn new things. We cover every modality of paganism, just about every topic you can imagine. I think we've either hosted in past years or are hosting in a current year. And all of the presenters are bringing their gifts and what they have to offer to the pagan community to the event so folks can meet each other and spend time together.
Nice. Tell us about some of the workshops, ceremonies, and things that are going to go on this year.
So this year, we've got a full schedule. Our guests of honor for this year are Ivo Dominguez Jr., Mara Starling, Christine Ashworth, Sen Elias, Crossroad Convergence for musical on Friday, and the Nathaniel Johnstone Band for the music at the ball on Saturday. So lots of different diverse voices in that crowd. But so we have everything from a very academic conversation about Scott Cunningham. Christina Ashworth is Scott Cunningham's sister and wrote a book about his life and the impact he's made in our community. And she'll be doing a talk on that. So really exciting to hear about his life and history and all of the things that he has brought to early paganism and through his life. And then, Sen Elias is going to be doing a session on cleansing and uncrossing. So lots of different topics that you can see at an event like ours.
Well, Sen Elias is from the hoodoo and voodoo communities, is he not?
He is.
Mara Starling is the Welsh witch.
Is a Welsh witch, that's correct.
Welsh witch.
Yeah. So that's
Did you say Scott Cunningham has a sister and she's going to be presenting at your event?
Yes.
That is
Yes.
huge. That is huge. I didn't know that Scott Cunningham had a sister, and that's very inspiring. That is a big deal.
Becky, do you want to tell a story about how we came to this conclusion of inviting her?
So I've been doing programming. I joined Twin Cities Pagan Pride to help with Paganicon right after the first event. So in 2011, right after I attended Paganicon, and I loved it so much, I was like, I have to help make this amazing. And so joined the board. I did volunteers for a number of years. I started in programming in 2015. And so in order to facilitate programming, I'm often looking at what's out 2 or 3 years because some things book really far out or we just need a plan. And so I always have these, we get suggestions for themes. Each year has a theme. And we get our suggestions on our end of con feedback forms. And so I keep a running list of those, and we're kind of always working what fits and what guests might be available and all those things. And so for years, it as like a future, sometime we'll get to it, topic and guest structure, I had, I think the prompt for it was witchcraft is the gateway drug of paganism. Because so many people find paganism through Wicca for the solitary practitioner or, something like that. And then they land and they go, oh my gosh, there's all of these options and this is amazing. And so that was kind of our prompt for it. And every year for years, somebody inevitably put Scott Cunningham as a suggested guest of honor on the feedback forms, even though he's been deceased for a long time now. And we'd laugh every year, there'd be somebody. And so just coincidentally, I was at Mystic South last year and Christine was there talking about her book. And I didn't know Scott had a sister either. And so I met her and I looked at my grid and I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect thing for our Wicca as a gateway drug theme. And so it was serendipity and we were able to connect, and she's coming to present about Scott and her book. And then we kind of built the schedule around that. And so what we ended up with for a theme is not Wicca is the gateway drug to paganism, because that really isn't quite the message we're going for. So Laurie, do you want to share our theme?
Our theme is passages to spiritual discovery. And we figured that when people come into the pagan and start learning about it, often they're learning about Wicca for the first time. But when they come to events like Paganicon, they are hearing about other kinds of spiritual pathways. I mean, I myself when I came to Paganicon, I was like, who are these druids? What are these heathens? Who are these people? I don't know that. All I've been hearing on TV or the movies or whatever is all about Wicca. And so we decided on the passages to spiritual discovery because there were so many doors to our to the spiritual path that we wanted to highlight all the doors that are available to everyone as they explore their spiritual path.
That is excellent. Now, my experience of Paganicon was this is one of the few festivals that has live music, some amazing live music. So I want you to tell me about that. But you also have this amazing feast. And I love to eat, so tell us about the music, the musical guests, and the feast.
Yeah, so at Paganicon on Friday night, we do a more, I don't want to call it a mellower concert because that's certainly not the vibe, but a concert style versus a ball style musical performance. So we have a different type of performers in each category. And so this year, our Friday night concert is Crossroad Convergent. So very much a pagan centric band. All the drumming and all of the kind of Celtic sound you're used to hearing from many of our musicians. And then that event is really kind of around getting to know each other, and there's a little bit more opportunity to connect there. It's a little volume-wise, a little quieter. And then on Saturday night, we have our ball. And so the ball there's a costume contest. You can come dressed in anything you might like. We have a theme for each year, but you don't have to base your costume around the theme. You can do anything you want. We actually host a costume contest so folks can really get into it, which is a lot of fun. We've had some spectacular outfits over the years. And then during the ball, we serve quite a plethora of hors d'oeuvres and kind of hand snacks, things people can eat while they're standing. So we change that up based on the availability of the menus from the hotel. But the idea is to get folks down and have that kind of party atmosphere and have some snacks to go with it.
And that is a lot of fun. Let me tell you.
And I do want to mention too that for people who, if they want to do something different at night, we do have the party rooms that are hosted by various organizations and groups at Paganicon. We have 13 party rooms hosted by various groups this year, and you can find anything from a very relaxing oasis, if that's what you're looking for, and a party room to an all-out party, So there's all that to do. So there's plenty to do. And this year, Becky, do you want to talk about, I think we have some big rituals happening at night too?
Yeah, the way programming works, just to set the scene, is it's community created. And so we put the structure together. We have a theme. Programming does not have to follow the theme of the event. We just give it as a guide. And then we do a public call for programming. That opens the first weekend of June every year, standard. And then we close it right about the end of October. And people can submit anything they want. And we, by design, don't dictate or say we're looking for certain things in the public call. If there's holes in the schedule, we'll fill those in the programming scheduling process. And the reason we do that is we want the community to come with the things that are most prescient for them, that they're thinking about or that are important to them or on their minds, or people are writing new books. We want them to come and talk about those things. And so, we end up with these different themes that organically happen every year, it feels like, during, COVID timeframe, there was a lot about health and mental health, and all those folks submitted all of that stuff on their own, and then we were able to make tracks out of it. And this year, we had a number of requests to have ritual in the evening, which is new for us. So we've got ritual scheduled almost from morning to midnight, both days, which is really exciting and gives folks a chance, I think, to experience a kind of ritual that we don't typically have because they're mostly themed for things that are more day appropriate. So there was a lot of dark goddess, a lot of just things that are more appropriate for nighttime. So really excited to see how that goes and what people think about some of those things. That'll be new for us. So we've got a Medusa 7 Pillars ritual on Saturday night. Jason Mankey's been doing a later night ritual for the last 2 years on the Horned One, which is really popular and a lot of fun. And so we've definitely got a lot for people to check out, even in that evening time, for some programming that we haven't had prior.
I was going to ask you about some of the sponsors, because you mentioned the party rooms, and some of the Paganicon sponsors have party rooms. I was going to mention Llewellyn and Cross Crow are both sponsoring this year, major publishers. And of course, Llewellyn is right close by in Wooddale. So who are some of the sponsors and how have they contributed to Paganicon?
We've got a number of sponsors besides Llewellyn worldwide. We've also got Midwest Witchery and Healing. If you're familiar with Jody Jacobson, I think her last name is the owner of that shop out in Stillwater. And she's one of our sponsors. We've also got sponsors Spirit Haven and the Savage Rock Shop, Battle Robin Counseling, Cherry Hill Seminary is one of our sponsors. Anglesey Druid Order is also one of our sponsors. Circle of Healing Arts and Streetwood Tenemus has actually been a sponsor of ours almost every year since I think we started. But yeah, we do rely on our sponsors to help promote our organization, and we include them, in the advertising that we do on our program book, which everybody gets when they come in. So,
and you guys get a T-shirt too. The attendees can buy T-shirts, which is kind of cool. What is the cost to attend Paganicon, and does it include hotel accommodations?
So right now the weekend rate is $95, and it covers everything. That actually covers everything for, that would cover 3 days of programming. That covers the Friday night concert. It covers the Equinox Ball on Saturday night. It covers your admission to the party suites, the vendor room. Also, another thing that it covers is the third offering art gallery and print shop, which is another highlight of our event. And there's all kinds of things happening, the hospitality suites and stuff like that. So that covers that. Beginning on March 17th, there will be day rates available. They are not available right now, but they will be coming up. And I was just going to look and see what the rates are. I think they vary by the day, depending on the day you go. We also have special rates for people who just want to go to the Friday night concert, or if they just want to go to the Saturday night Equinox Ball. There are special rates for that too. So if for some reason, if you work during the weekend and you're like, oh, I can't make it, but I can make it this day, that's what the day rates are good for. And again, those will be available starting March 17th. The Friday day cost is $40. Saturday is $60. The Friday day cost does include the Friday night concert. The Saturday cost does include the masquerade ball, and that's $60. Sunday is only $30. If you want to go to the Friday night concert only, it's $15, and Saturday ball is only $25.
That's a good deal. The hotel costs are separate, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Our tickets just cover attending the event. Accommodation or travel is on someone's own. I do believe the hotel is still currently sold out, and they're maintaining a wait list of rooms. And there is an overflow hotel just down the road. So we do sell that location out every year. We have for several years now. But do put yourself on the wait list if you're hoping to stay there. There are last minute cancellations, and things do tend to open up right before as folks' travel plans change. And the hotel does try to maintain a wait list for folks.
So folks can buy tickets right up until the date. Is that correct?
They can.
They can, yes.
That's unique. That's not everybody does that. A lot of people want to have pre-reservations. So it's really nice that you can go, oh, I've got some free time. I want to go to this event. That's really cool. Besides Paganicon, what are some of the other rituals and events that you facilitate?
So the only other event that we facilitate as an organization is our Pagan Pride Fall Festival. And that format is a little bit different. I think I mentioned earlier, it's out in a public park. We rent the space, so it's our space, but and then it's sort of a vendor fair. And those vendors are showcasing, everything from readings to their small business to selling product. And we have a number of community groups who come. We have more live music on the stage there, and there's Big Band Shell in the park. This is in Minnehaha Falls Park here in Minneapolis, which is a sacred site for pagans. The falls and the land around the falls are a sacred site for all of us and the indigenous folks. And it is important to note that the land in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area is traditional lands of the Lakota and Dakota people. So the park is really sacred for them as well. So that event has live music. We tend to have one or two food trucks around depending on who gets scheduled. And we also run a mini programming tent that isn't the depth of programming that we offer at Paganicon, but it does offer 50-minute sessions and they're very basic 101 level sessions on all of the different pagan modalities. So there'll be a Wicca 101 and a Heathenry 101. And that's really designed for the public to be able to sit in for a short burst of time, not a big commitment, and learn something that they may not know about all the different pieces that make up the pagan tapestry.
But Paganicon's more geared toward all ranges from just beginners to adepts. So you could go and find classes for adepts as well.
You absolutely can. And we try to note in the descriptions of things if something is a beginner level class or something more advanced, or if there's something someone needs to know in order to attend, we ask our presenters to put that in that description. So you're not somebody who's brand new and just exploring and you accidentally end up on a shamanic journey somewhere. So we want to make sure that folks kind of know what they're getting into. And then when our presenters are facilitating, that they're kind of managing those pieces in their rooms and helping folks. So we do some conversational pieces as folks come in, depending on their topic, individually to help them make sure they understand the crowd and what they can expect and how to facilitate in a space that they may not have facilitated in prior.
Okay. Are there activities for children's and teens at Paganicon?
That's a really good question. So there is not currently separate programming for children or teens at Paganicon. And so that's kind of a long journey for us. We didn't have it for the first few years. There were not too many attendees in that space. And then for a number of years, there were enough children, school-age children, that we had kids programming for 3 or 4 years. And then that sort of fell off. The interest in it fell off. The willingness to have volunteers who would go through a background check and be vetted kind of dissipated. And most of those volunteers were parents of those children, and they grew out of that a bit. And so then they weren't interested in teaching other people's children. And we've not really had a push to come back to it. It's been a topic for a couple of years, but all of the programming we do is community submitted. So when people reach out, we ask them to please submit kids programming. If they submit it, we'll schedule it. And we just haven't had enough interest in it to bring it back to the schedule just yet.
Well, hopefully next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just takes a few folks who finally have children of that age where they want to be part of that change to make those things happen. I know for other big organizations, that's sort of the impetus is when it actually is relevant to somebody's season in their life. All of a sudden, those things become more important, and that's great. And we just don't necessarily have that. What we do know is we do have expectations around what that looks like. So folks who are working with children have to be background checked, and we do have a safety process for that. And so, making sure that folks are willing to engage in that process is probably the most important component of bringing it back.
And that can be expensive too. I have to do that for some organizations I belong to that are outside of the pagan sphere. So it's a little challenging. So I understand that completely. Can you please name some of the classes and some of the events that are going to be held, classes and ceremonies? You mentioned a few of them. What are
let me pull up the schedule so I say them all correctly. There's over 100 individual items on the schedule. So even though I scheduled it all, sometimes I can't remember all the pieces. Let's see. So Friday, we start at 10:30 in the morning on Friday. I'm just going to run through some of these titles. So we've got a beginner's class on energy work and psychic protection. There's a great class on the myth of closure, which is a really interesting topic, especially these days with some of the things that we're tackling. In the afternoon, we have inclusion versus affirmation, non-binary, genderqueer, and transgender identities in our communities. So that's a panel discussion. In the afternoon, Lady J is playing the magic of the blues, so something for everyone on that schedule. And we have some book signings. So Emphy's book will be signing in the afternoon. Someone is talking about sickles, making them from mundane to magical. We've got a class on puppets and magical dolls. Mara Starling's talking about Welsh witchcraft, which is, I think, just such an exciting time for folks who maybe haven't experienced an international component to their practice or had a chance to visit other places. James Devine's talking about fairyland and exploring photographic evidence of fairies. So really fun topics there. So that's just a snippet of what's happening only on Friday.
Wow.
When we go to Saturday, that's just Friday. And that's only, I don't know, there's probably 40 things that I didn't pick out of there. And then on Saturday, we've got an even fuller schedule. So we've got tracks for the guests of honor, for folks who are kind of highly published, rituals, and then any number of different kind of specific practices. We try to group things together so folks can have the a track to follow if they want to. So we've got design and construction of outdoor shrines, understanding the Akashic records. Let's see, the ritual for the ancestors at 6:15. Our Pagans of Color group is doing that. So really popular ritual they've held in their suite for a number of years. And so we're bringing that to the full schedule, which is really exciting.
Ooh.
Jason Mankey is going to be talking about Raymond Buckland and his new book. So super fun to hear him talk more about that process and that publication coming out. Let's see. Christopher is talking about Aaron Rod and his new book. So another really fun topic there. Crossroad Convergence will be doing an unplugged session on Saturday afternoon. So they're our Friday night entertainment, but they're going to do some unplugged sessions. Black Willow Starling is going to perform in the ballroom on Saturday. If you've been to any of our events before, you know Tom O'Bedlam. He's performed with us for a number of years, so he's back as well. And then Christine will be talking about Scott Cunningham's life and his impact on Saturday. And then on Sunday, my goodness, there's so many things. Let's see. We're talking magical herbal cauldron. So, that's Witch Jody. We mentioned her and her shop in Stillwater. So she'll be talking about, all things herbalism, and she's well known for that. Let's see. Managing mental health, always an important topic. So a little bit more intellectual there. When we think about different things, that's certainly one. Ivo Dominguez Jr. is going to be presenting on capturing lightning in a bottle. So imbuing physical objects with spiritual powers. So I cannot wait for that one, actually. Forgiveness, pagan style, turning emotional poison into spiritual medicine. Tarot and the Tree of Life. Let's see. And then we're closing with a plenary on how we can strengthen our pagan communities in times of hostility, maybe we'll call it, for pagans, and just lack of religious tolerance.
Can I interrupt for a minute? What does plenary mean? That's a word I haven't heard before.
Oh, plenary. Yeah, plenary is just a session where everyone is together at a conference versus in separate, having the choice of separate sessions. So on Saturday, Christine's talk on Scott Cunningham is a plenary. Everyone's in one place.
Okay.
And then at the end of the event, we close with a plenary where everyone's back in one place versus separate rooms and separate topics.
And I think the closing plenary is actually a really good way to close out the weekend too, and get people thinking about next year. And do we want to mention something about, we have the something happening on Friday night before the concert.
Yeah, so Friday night we do an opening right before the concert starts. We're going to be sharing some updates for the organization and some, future plans. So if folks are coming to the event, come on Friday, be there for the opening of the concert so we can share some exciting updates with everyone. Little mystery for the podcast.
Oh,
The entire pagan community needs a plenary.
yeah,
A plenary, yes. So
Cool.
Plenary is a very academic word that you'd find in, those kinds of conferences.
Very cool.
So, but it was funny because when I was scheduling, I put together a preliminary schedule and socialized that through the presenters, talked to people about timing and travel and all the logistics, right, of making all those puzzle pieces fit. And not one person wanted to be against Christine's talk about Scott Cunningham. They were all like, put me somewhere else. I want to go to that. And so I didn't initially intend to have that be a plenary, but nobody else wanted to present during that time frame because they all want to be in that talk. And so just logistically, it made sense to make that a plenary.
I hope somebody films that, or she's allowing to be filmed. That would be phenomenal. That's a really good... That's really cool.
That's a good question. We do not allow filming, generally speaking, across any of Paganicon. Some presenters choose to film their own work for their own podcast or YouTube, and then we ask them to do that in a very particular way. So if somebody's wanting to do that, we ask them to come see me, and we'll work that out. And then also get permission for anybody in the room, let them know that it's being recorded, all of those things. But we don't generally record, and we don't currently have like a web simulcast option. The logistics of that are pretty complex to start, and the cost structures around it are pretty high. And there's just something very magical, if I can use that in a broader sense, about this is a point in time, and we're here together creating something now. And this thing shall never exist again. And we all get to have been a part of it. And there's something really exciting about that too.
Well, Becky, you mentioned vendors at the Pagan Pride Day. Are there vendors and merchants and artists at Paganicon?
There are. I'll let
We've
Laurie
got a
talk
lot
more
of
about
them.
our vendors.
We have, I think, almost 30 vendors. And what I really love about our vendor room is that we actually curate our vendor room. So we go through and make sure that we get the best vendors for the ultimate shopping experience at Paganicon. We've got everybody selling everything from candles, herbs. We've got a hat person. We've got people selling everything you would ever want for your pagan rituals. Everything you would want as a pagan, you will find it. You will find it. Of course, jewelry is always a big one. We've got clothing. Let me see. We've got bones. Interesting immortal trinkets for the boners, they're called, that are coming. So if you go to our website and click on the link for the vendors, you're going to find all kinds of vendors there. Mega Artworks is a regular. They come to the vendor room and they sell all kinds of specialized one-of-a-kind sculptures in steel, bronze, and woods. They make unique swords, athames, sickles, ceremonial blades, that kind of stuff. So we have a number of different things. We've got, who else do we have? Oh, there's so many good ones. And as I said, we do. I think it helps. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it helps to say that the vendor room's open to the public.
It
so
is.
Unlike most of Paganicon, that's badged, so you can't just come, you need a badge. The vendor room is in the lobby of the hotel, and so it's open to the public. So folks who maybe can't make the weekend work or attending a conference isn't their thing, they want to come shop the vendor room, they certainly can do that.
And the vendor hours are Friday 12 to 6 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Get your shopping on. That's great. The next question I had for you is the site to the hotel accessible for differently abled pagans?
It's kind of a loaded question. The hotel definitely is. They have all, I think, the regular things. The layout of the hotel has been probably our biggest struggle because it's sort of a big, almost like a Z shape, if you could look at it from an aerial view. And so the sleeping rooms are down sort of a long corridor on one side, and then the programming spaces are in the conference space, which is on the far other side. And so what we've generally found is that walking has been hard for some of our folks who have mobility challenges or are differently abled. And so we've worked with the hotel for a number of years to continue to try to improve access or improve parking and some of those things to just help that situation. But it is a bit limited just by the structural nature of how the hotel is set up.
That's good to know. Good to know. So if differently abled people are attending, you might want to bring a mobility device with you to make it a little bit easier on yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the most helpful thing. We also worked with the hotel to all hotels have seating in sort of what seems like odd little nooks and crannies. And that seating is really important for folks who might just need a break. If anything, just to be able to sit for a moment and then continue forward. And so just making sure those things don't get moved. Often in a conference, especially a conference like ours, the entire hotel and everyone in it are our people. And so folks feel creative license maybe to just take furniture and put it where it's convenient for them, or move it to have more seating in a different place. And so we continue to work with not only our participants, but hotel staff to make sure things get put back, that they're where they need to be when folks need them, and if we see them in other places, to get them returned. So some of it is just crowd management and making sure that everybody who's attending doesn't move things that they're not supposed to move or that we've intended to be somewhere else, and then continuing to work with the hotel to make sure that they've placed all of those things in spaces that make it more equitable for folks to get back and forth.
And I will mention also that if there is any special accessibility request, we will do our best to provide any accommodations someone might require. You just need to email us, and you can do that at info@tcpaganpride.org.
Oh, that was the next thing I was going to ask you, how to get a hold of you. On the ribbon that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, there's how to get your website, but are you on any other social media?
Yes, we are. Besides the Facebook page, we have our main page, Twin City Pagan Pride Paganicon, plus we also have an event page for Paganicon specifically. We also have a Twin City Pagan Pride page where it's more for events and happenings. This is the page that we put, if community groups or covens or other organizations are going to be doing events throughout the Twin Cities area. We like to highlight that information on that page. And the reason we do that is because the number one question we always get when we do an info booth, either at, Paganicon or Pagan Pride Day, is people say, well, how do I find out about how I can meet other people in the community? So this is that page is specifically for that answer. We are also on Instagram, and we are also on Blue Sky. And I'm going to see if I can just give you guys the links here. Let me look them up here for you guys. So our Instagram is TC Pagan Pride, and Blue Sky is tcpaganpride.bsky.social.
Okay, good to know. Now you mentioned diversity, and I'm seeing a wide diversity in the guests of honor, as well as the different kinds of classes and activities. What have you guys done to increase diversity in the community?
So this is probably the top area that I focus on when it comes to programming, because, if you were just going to cast a wide net and take whatever comes in, overwhelmingly the pagan community is white to start, and then it goes from there, right? And so we have a lot of representation. There's a lot of intersectionality with LGBTQ community and paganism and certain groups, but certainly people of color are woefully underrepresented. And so we drive a very conscious effort around that to make sure that we aren't just taking what comes only in the public call. That's a key component of programming, but that's going to get us the largest subset of the pagan community and not a diverse subset. And so we then cultivate the rest of that. And so I spend a lot of time reaching out. I now have a co-chair on the programming committee, Sarah Penn, who's in the Pagans of Color community in Minneapolis here, who's helping. And we cultivate that very heavily through personal invitation. So we reach out, do a lot of community building, and make sure that we are personally inviting folks to submit programming, to attend, to be part of what we're doing, help them understand the organization and the way we approach things, make sure that they feel like it's a safe place for them to be. All of those things that help break down barriers for somebody who maybe wouldn't feel like they could just submit to a public call.
That's wonderful. Now for the surprise question. This is the question. Dun, dun, dun. This event is huge. How many attendees do you have? That's not the surprise question.
We have about 1,000 people for the last few years.
In one hotel, in one space.
Right.
How do you manage security for that many people to make sure everybody's safe and protected in this environment?
So security is a top priority. I won't say that we can share everything we do. We do have a security plan. We do have a safety policy that is public. It's been public on our website since 2015. So please go check that out. If you're seeing this, we want you to read our safety policy. If you lead a group or have a group and you want to steal it and make it your own for your group, please do that. Full license. We want to encourage folks to have, maintain, implement, utilize safety policies. That being said, the hotel has a robust security process as well that we're expected to follow as, patrons of the hotel. And so a lot of what we do is dictated by that. That does have a partnership with local PD, although we don't have them on site unless something is required, just because we don't feel like that's always the safest environment for some of our participants, but there is a component of that. And then we meet internally and have a robust conversation about safety. And this hotel, we've been here for a number of years now, so the safety process is well managed. I will say for 2025, as we go into this year's event, safety has been a much larger conversation for us this year than it has in past years, just given the change in the political environment. And I think unfortunately, the current political environment has created a situation where folks feel a greater license to speak out about people they may disagree with, or that they don't think should have the freedoms that we all have to practice our religions, or freedom of speech, or to gather as groups. And so we don't know of any security concerns at this event. We've not had any threats. And we are working with the hotel, a security company, and local police to make sure that we have a safety plan that will account for, any potential situations that might come up.
Very well said. Thanks.
My experience of Paganicon, because security can be more than just about safety, is someone had a medical emergency and people were just on top of it, just like that.
Yeah.
Making sure that the crowd was feeling safe and making sure the individual was safe. So that was just really handled really well.
We've had, the safety policy is pretty robust, and it really covers, because all we do is run events, it covers things happening at the event. I'm our safety coordinator, and so on site, if something happens, then we immediately lean on that policy. And so, when prevention fails, and intervention becomes necessary, and that needs to be a situation where we're not trying to make what do we do decisions in the moment. We need a policy and a plan so that when something happens, we're executing. We're not deciding anything. And so I encourage every organization who does anything, whether it's a coven and you just have a few of you, up to big events, make sure you have a policy and a plan. You know what you're doing. You're not making what if or what do decisions in the moment. We also have a really good partnership with the hotel. So they have worked very well with us over the last number of years, and they've made sure that, we know what their process is and that we can all work seamlessly if needed. And we can't say enough good things about them as a partner too, because most of what we do is dictated by their insurance company and what they require on site.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that either of you, excuse me, I'm suffering from bronchitis, so I'm just now getting over it, but I'm eating a lot of cough drops and coughing a lot. Is there anything else that either of you would like to tell us about Twin Cities Pagan Pride, about your Pagan Pride event, or about Paganicon?
Well, I do want to mention with Paganicon that we also offer healing and divination services at Paganicon. People can find professional and knowledgeable people offering a huge array of healing and divination services throughout the weekend. The fees range anywhere from $20 to $90, depending on the practitioner and the length of time or the healing service you receive. And you can actually schedule a session with one of these professional people right now. You can go to the website and click on the link and make an appointment, and you can do that before you even come to the event. We did talk a little bit about the Paganicon art show, the Third Offering Art Gallery. That's one of the more unique features of Paganicon, and it's created to showcase fine arts and crafts made by pagan and polytheistic artists within the context of their own culture. There's also a print shop associated with that. People can buy art, or there's all kinds of, besides the vendor room, there's also lots of stuff to purchase there as well. They would definitely want to check that out. Am I missing anything else that we haven't covered, Becky?
I think that's everything. We have so many things happening simultaneously. It's hard to remember them all sometimes.
Well, we really appreciate you guys coming on the Festival Fun Show and telling us about Paganicon and Twin Cities Pagan Pride. I really appreciate you guys showing up. Hopefully you'll have a absolutely wonderful event, and we thank you and benediction blessings for coming and talking with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We do really appreciate it.
Okay, that about wraps it up. Join us next time for Festival Fun. So, Merry Part. I'm AC Fisher-Aldag.
And I'm the Harold Carter, the Lone Wolf, and make sure you keep it right here on www.witchcrafttv.online. We are fair representation of all pagan, witch, and magic paths.